Hello, Trekkies, and welcome to the bridge of the USS Lollipop.
It's a good ship.
Thanks, Will. This North Carolina-class ship was designed by Robin Butler, 3D artist. There's a link below in the description to her work. This will be the new format of the show going forward here on Best of Trek, Worst of Trek. I'm your host, Dustin Wing. Computer, stand down from tactical alert and raise the lights, please. Ah, better. Starting off at number 655 is Trip is Trippin', or Strange New World. The Enterprise encounters its first uninhabited Class M planet and is happy to set down for shore leave in Episode 3 of the series, despite Debbie Downer here telling them they should wait 7 days and do complete scans and tests in case there's something that might cause a problem. Which there is. When Trip and other crew members stay for a camping trip, a storm forces them into a cave where they start to see things due to a hallucinogen carried on the storm. They freak out at each other till Phlox can come up with a cure and beam it down. The best parts are Florida Man screaming in the dark. Going out with a whimper is 654. A woman mansplaining, or turnabout intruder. In the final episode of TOS, it goes out in true third season fashion. A clustered mess of emotions that at the very least is an interesting premise. The Enterprise responds to a distress call from a group of scientists, one of which is an old flame of Kirk's. Big surprise there, huh? Janice Lester hates herself and the indignity of being a woman in a 60s television series. She engineers a plot to incapacitate Kirk and put her consciousness into his body and vice versa, so she can experience what it's like to be a male Starfleet captain. Even though later shows would thankfully retcon women into earlier command roles, she says that Starfleet captains are a boys' club and she couldn't get in. By the end, we get another look at the terrible hysterical woman trope, when she orders several members of the crew to be executed for mutiny when they won't follow Janice Kirk's orders. We get an awesome William Shatnering moment when they trade back bodies, though. At 653, we have Close the Reverse Harbor, or Babel. The overworked and understaffed O'Brien accidentally triggers a booby trap in the replicator system and infects the entire station with a virus engineered by the Bajoran Resistance. Yay, Idanian spice pudding! The virus causes aphasia, which makes the population of the station unable to communicate properly. Kira abducts a doctor from Bajor that was part of the project that created it, and he finds a cure before people start dying. Odo is an awesome one-man army in this one. The ending with Sisko still being mad at O'Brien because his coffee still sucks is one of the worst in Trek history. Trying to relax at 652 is Mugged on Risa, or 2 Days and 2 Nights. After a few detours, the crew finally arrives at the supposed pleasure planet of Risa, where, as is customary every time we see it, our heroes will get little peace. Except Hoshi, who will get a little piece. Florida Man and British guy walk into a club wearing ridiculous leisure suits and get mugged for everything, including the ugly clothes on their back. A Tandaran undercover operative uses a dog as a way to get to know Archer and find out what he knows about the Suliban. Mayweather has to be brought back aboard because he got a painkiller given to him for a broken leg that caused an allergic reaction. And Phlox is in a hibernative state right now and has to be woken up, which is pretty funny. But when everyone meets up at the shuttle, no one talks about their interesting experiences. Coming in at 651 is Imagination Land, or Shore Leave. A shore party explores a random planet and starts seeing random historical things that they think about, like a damsel's dress, Alice and the Rabbit, Sulu's a gun expert, and a woman Kirk once loved, and his Academy rival. And it turns out there's a hidden race, on the planet that turned it into a sort of vacation spot where you can do what you want with no ill effects. There's some fun and some really hokey moments in this one. At number 650, Sex Sells, or Man of the People. The Enterprise responds to a distress call from an ambassador on his way to settle a dispute between two warring factions. He beams on board with a woman he calls his mother and proceeds to get friendly with Deanna. The old woman dies and Deanna is his next victim to dump psychic waste into, which causes her to rapidly age. They end up literally having to kill Deanna to break his link to her, and then he rapidly ages, dies, and Troy is revived and returned back to her old self. Though not before the most overtly showy clothing choices in maybe all of 90s American-produced TV history. Nice dress, Deanna, though it doesn't leave much to the imagination in some spots. And then there's this. Gene would have been proud of this one. Crossing over at number 649 is Mirror Burial, or Resurrection. Mirror Universe version of Kira's dead lover, Vedic Burial, beams into Ops and holds Kira prisoner briefly before asking to stay in this universe. Really, it's just a plot to steal an orb of the prophets, and Mirror Kira, the Intendant, crosses over also to get in on the plot before being stopped by Burial after an orb experience and Kira convincing him it's the right thing to do. Why is a runabout docked at an upper pylon? That's usually reserved for bigger ships. And we get another girls' talk session about Captain Baudet, the Galamite. Being displaced at number 648, Spiderweb Afterlife, or Emanations. When an away team goes to an asteroid, they encounter bodies, and Kim gets pulled into a subspace anomaly and ends up in a death box on a planet in someone else's place in the middle of a funeral ritual. The rest of the episode is the show getting into philosophy over where you go when you die, and Kim must suffer literal execution in hopes to be revived when he gets back to Voyager. This one has its moments, but ultimately falls flat as a good episode of Trek. We go back to Rome at number 647 with Maximum Flavor, or Bread and Circuses. While investigating the destruction of a vessel, the Enterprise finds a Rome meets 1960s civilization, where the big three are immediately taken prisoner upon beaming down. They're captured by a group of rebels against the Empire, whose new leader turns out to be the captain of the SS Beagle they were looking for. Kirk and company are sentenced to Roman arena-style games on live TV. They get out of that, and then Merrick dies trying to flee back to the Enterprise, and everyone else beams up safe. There's talk through the episode about sun worshippers, but in a religious twist at the end, it turns out they were worshipping the Son of God. You know, Jesus. Closing out our block today is number 646, Rump O'Brien Skin, or If Wishes Were Horses. A group of strange aliens test the crew of DS9 by letting their imaginations take over and see what happens. After a bedtime story, the O'Brien starts seeing Rumpelstiltskin, Jake brings baseball player Buck Bokai off the holodeck, Julian starts seeing an over-sexualized Dax throwing herself at him, and worst of all, real Dax imagines that some strange readings are actually an anomaly that would destroy the entire Bajoran system. Once they figure out they're just in imagination land, they refrain from any negative thoughts, and things go back to normal. It's an interesting premise, done better in other Trek.
Ah, computer.
That program is available.
Thanks Majel, Majel, Majel. Thanks Majel, Majel, Majel.
Nurse Chapel, you have your orders.
Thanks Majel,
The Enterprise is proceeding to its next mission.
Majel, Majel.
Shall I prepare a mild sedative, Doctor?
Thanks Majel,
I'm afraid that's against Dr. Coleman's orders.
Thanks Majel, Majel. Thanks Majel,
One life form present.
Majel, Majel.
0900 hours. counseling session with Ensign Janeway.
Thanks Majel.
Deck 6, Corridor B.
Majel, Majel.
Satire in Trek. Satire in Trek.
4 fleeing fish. A fine haul.
You idiots! These are not them. You've captured their stunt doubles!
You're becoming irrational.
You've never seen me irrational.
What would you know about pressure?
That's why I'm here. I'm, getting ready to die.
We go over to the dying holes and we die.
I'm going to have to ask you all to please refrain from using your imaginations.
Imagination.
You've been very kind to me. I'm gonna check out now.
Time to cash out. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.